Hello guys and welcome to the BP Gaming Network. We're playing Out of the Park Baseball 19 featuring our Oakland Athletics franchise, week number 3. So this video is a recap of week number 3 into our 2018 season. We'll basically walk you guys through the week, show you guys how the team performed. We played 5 games and we'll show you how those games played out. We'll also show you the team standings. You can see where we stand so far. We'll also talk about any transactions or changes that we made during the week. So we'll advance over to our team schedule calendar. I probably should point out that I had recorded one game, which was the first game of our Interleague series between the Dodgers and Oakland. The game 1 was an exciting game because the team was facing Clayton Kershaw for the first time. So we recorded this game, but the video got corrupted when we were transitioning. We upgraded our CPU. In our process, we're transferring files back and forth. Somehow that video just got messed up, and that was that. So this is the recap for this game. So Oakland won game 1 of this 2-game series, 7-2. Our starting pitcher was Kendall Graveman, who performed really well. He pitched in 7 innings, gave up 7 hits, just 1 run, but it wasn't earned. He threw 101 pitches to end up with a 5.09 ERA. So this was an improvement for Kendall Graveman, who had struggled for the first few games of the season. Glad to see his performance basically improve to this level. The bullpen after that came in, and although they gave up 1 run, courtesy of Yasmero Petit, for the rest of the game, they basically locked it down. For the Dodgers, they had Clayton Kershaw, as I mentioned, and he did not have a good game. So he pitched 5 innings. He gave up 5 hits, 7 runs, 4 of them earned, 2 walks. He had 7 strikeouts and threw 88 pitches. His ERA ended up at 3.26. The bullpen also came in after him and basically locked it down without giving up any further runs. But it was pretty much a done deal from Clayton Kershaw's performance. The team had already lost. So Kendall Graveman was the player of the game. Offensively, there was really not a lot of exciting moments to focus on. Maybe a couple guys played well. Matt Chapman was 3 for 1 with 2 RBIs. Jed Lowry also was 3 for 1 and drove in 2 RBIs. So that was the bulk of the offense really for that game. Steven Piscotty also, he played well. He was 4 for 2, just had 1 RBI. And for the Dodgers, they only had 1 RBI courtesy of Yasmani Grandal. So the offense wasn't the highlight pitching wise, though. We were excited with the performance we saw from Kendall Graveman. The next game was in LA as well, and we lost that game. We only lost it by 1 run. The score was 9-8. Pitching wise, we sent out Daniel Mengden, who had a hard time. He struggled pitching in 2 1/3 innings. He gave up 4 runs, all of them earned, threw only 50 pitches, ended up with a 6.14 ERA. The bullpen also struggled in this game. We could see Yasmero Petit gave up a run. Santiago Casilla came in, gave up 3 runs. Liam Hendricks came in, gave up 1 run. Although the offense really tried to fight back to keep the game even, the pitching staff was a major letdown for this game. For the Dodgers, they sent out Alex Wood, who pitched okay, actually pitched pretty good. 6 innings, just gave up 2 runs, 2 of them earned, through 86 pitches. His ERA, 7.53. He's also been struggling so far into the start of this season. Their bullpen also struggled a bit. You can see Ross Stripling gave up 4 earned runs in that game. Scott Alexander also gave up 2 runs, and So the offense for both teams was actually producing a lot of runs, which even though the pitching staff both sides were struggling, offensively the both teams were playing really well. This was like I said, just a one-run game. The highlights, probably we could start off with Jake Smolinski. He had a home run in the 8th inning and drove in 4 RBIs. Steven Piscotty, who was 5 for 3, also had 3 RBIs. And then Matt Olson, 3 for 2, had just 1 RBI. For the Dodgers, offensively, Cody Bellinger, he went 4 for 2 and drove in 3 RBIs. Yasiel Puig was 5 for 2, also had 3 RBIs. So those were the offensive highlights for each team. Overall, good performance offensively by Oakland, but we just couldn't get that win. So for that series, our first interleague series, we were 1 for 1, which is not too bad, and we were facing a pretty good team. The next game was on April 13th, which was the game 1 of a 3-game series between Oakland and Seattle. This being a divisional matchup, we were keen to make sure that we performed really well. So game 1, we lost that game. Pitching wise, we sent out Andrew Triggs, who pitched really well. 6 2/3 innings, just gave up 4 hits with 1 run earned. He threw 84 pitches, and his ERA so far is 2.04. Triggs has had a very good start to his season, so glad to see him continue to perform really well. The bullpen, they held down just fine, although Liam Hendricks gave up a run. And sadly enough, that ended up being the nail in the coffin. That's the run that cost us the game. For Seattle, though, they had Felix Hernandez, who pitched really well, reminiscent of the King, of a few years ago. He had 10 strikeouts in 8 innings, just gave up 1 run. His ERA ended up at 2.11. So strong pitching performance by Felix Hernandez and their bullpen as well. Again, another close game. We only lost by just a single run. Offensively, though, not much to talk about. The only RBI we had came courtesy of Marcus Semien, who was 3 for 2 in this game. So he played well. For Seattle, they had a couple RBIs from their catcher, Mike Majammer, and JJ Hardy, who was 4 for 1, had 1 RBI. So that was game number 1, which we lost, and then we won the next 2 games, which was excellent. So for this series, we were 2 for 1. The next game on April 14th, we won the game, another close game that we won just by a single run. The score was 3-2. Pitching wise, Sean Manai had a good game. He pitched in 7 innings, gave up just 1 run, 5 hits, and he had 5 strikeouts. His ERA at the end of the day was 2.59, which is excellent. This time, the bullpen came in and basically shut it down. They didn't give up a run, except for maybe 2 hits, but no runs were scored after that. For Seattle, they sent out Mike Leake, who pitched okay. And as a matter of fact, he pitched really well. 8 innings, gave up 5 hits, 3 runs, 3 of them earned, threw 101 pitches. But the game was pretty much a done deal from those 3 runs he gave up. And Sean Manai got the nod as the player of the game. Offensively, Bruce Maxwell was the only guy who stood out for Oakland. He was 4 for 1, drove in 2 RBIs. So that was basically it for the offense. So another low-scoring affair where we basically squeaked in a win just by 1 run. The last game, which was today for that series and the last game of the week, we won 8-3 against the Mariners. which was an excellent performance by the team. Pitching wise, Chris Bassett was on the mound as the starting pitcher for Oakland. He threw 8 1/3 innings, gave up 4 hits, 3 runs, 3 of them earned. He threw 101 pitches, and his ERA at the end of the game was 3.10. So an excellent performance by Chris Bassett. And you can see Hatcher came in relief and basically closed out the game and shut that one down. And for Seattle, though, they sent out Josh Smith, who did not pitch very well, struggled right off the bat. He pitched in 4 innings, gave up 5 hits and 6 runs, all of them earned. He gave up 3 walks in the process. And after 67 pitches, his ERA was 13.50, so he's not having a good start to his season. The bullpen also seemed to struggle a bit with Dan Altavia, who came in 2 2/3 innings, gave up 2 runs, and basically the game was done from there. Player of the game, Chris Bassett. So a lot of Oakland pitchers getting player of the game honors for the first few games of our season. So that's a good sign. We've got guys who are really pitching well that I wasn't expecting them to pitch this well earlier on in the season, such as Chris Bassett, Andrew Triggs. So that gives me hope that we may be able to get something done positively this season. Offensively, well, there's a couple guys who had good games. Chris Davis went 3 for 1 with 2 RBIs. And we also saw a debut of a player that we called up from AAA, the minor leagues, and that is Sheldon Neuse. So a big hand to Sheldon Neuse. We'll talk about him in a bit. We basically called him up this week, and we sent down Matt Chapman. And we'll walk you guys through that right now. So that was, in a nutshell, the third week for Oakland as far as games and performance. Here's a snapshot again. So basically, out of 5 games, we won 3 games and lost 2 games. So not a bad showing. Team-wise and standing-wise, that improved our position in the American League West Division from bottom place to second to bottom, but our record now stands at 8 for 8, which gives us a 500 winning percentage, which is excellent. We want to try and stay at 500 as much as we can. We're only 3.5 games behind the leader, Texas. Texas continue to play well so far, and they're still the leader in our division. Their record is 12-5. LA also continue to play well. Previously, if you can remember in the last video, LA and Houston were tied for second place. Now LA has taken the lead position in that number 2 spot in the standings. Their record is 10-7, and then there's Houston now with a record of 9-7 in 3rd position, Oakland in 4th position, and then Seattle dropped back down to 5th. Even though they're playing 500 ball, their record is 7-7. So that's where we stand in our division. We'll show you guys so far how the leagues are lining up, or the standings for the entire leagues now. So you can see in the American League, we somewhere in the middle. Minnesota Twins are playing really well, and they have an 11-4 record. They are the leader in the American League division. The bottom is Kansas City Royals, struggling. They've only won 3 games, lost 13 games. They're 8.5 games behind the leader. So that's how the standings are so far for the leagues. National League, the Dodgers are the number 1 team, followed by the Cubs. And at the bottom, you can see San Francisco Giants struggling heavily in 2018. But it's only been 3 weeks, and just wanted to give you guys a little snapshot of the bigger picture in the league, just to see where we stand in the league. So we did have some transactions that we did during week 3, and I will walk you guys through that. Let's take a look at our transactions log. So here we are on April 13th. We had to make a decision. Matt Chapman, who had been struggling playing in Oakland, he basically was not contributing to the level that we expected him to be. We felt that it was the right time to send him back down to AAA Nashville for him to basically work out some of the issues, maybe his mechanics or something, just to give him a chance to find his game again. So we demoted, basically optioned out Matt Chapman back down to AAA Nashville, and as a result, we called up Sheldon Noose from AAA Nashville. So we added him to the 40-man roster and called him up to Oakland. Sheldon Noose is a 23-year-old third baseman who can also play shortstop. If you look at his ratings, his contact is way below average. His gap power also below average. His home run power is just average. His iron discipline below average, and his ability to avoid strikeouts way below average. So with those ratings, though, you might wonder why we called him up. Number one, he's still young, he's still developing. Number two, we needed a guy who can play multiple positions to come in and replace Matt Chapman. We do have a few guys who can play third base. I believe Chad Pinder can play third, and Mark Canna, if I'm not wrong. But one of the things that really impressed me about Sheldon Noose was his performance over the last few years. You could see 2017, while in single A, he had an outstanding season. His batting average was 291. Didn't show a lot of power, just a little bit of power, just a sign with 9 home runs. But his on-base percentage, 349. The same year, he was moved up to Advanced A, and again, he met that challenge really well, playing in advanced ball. He had a 386 average with a 457 on base. And then that same year in 2017, he was again promoted to AA Midland, and again he really stepped up to the plate, met that challenge really well. He had an average of 373 after 75 plate appearances and 67 at bats. Again, that on-base percentage, something I really look for in players, 427, which is outstanding. And his slugging dropped a bit, but he's still a young kid who's developing, still managed to really play well in an advanced level. So he went through 3 stages all in 1 year in 2017, from single A, advanced 8, all the way to AA, and played really well. And then in 2018, he started 2018 in AAA, and again, he really basically stood up to the challenge. He's playing in AAA for his first time ever, and he has a batting average of 346. He has an on-base percentage of 433. Yes, small sample, just 30 plate appearances and 26 at-bats. But when you look at that history there, I just felt there's something really there to him. Even though his ratings don't look flashy and all that great, but when you look at his stats, no doubt he has the ability to play. And as a result, we basically called him up. We took a chance on him and called him up. And let's take a look at how he performed once he got called up. So let's go into his 2018 game log. So he played 2 games for us. The first game was April 14th. And in that game, this was the game against the Mariners. We won that game 3-2. And let's see how Sheldon performed. So he was 3 for 1 and had a 333 batting average. So this was his debut. This was his first time in the major leagues, and he played well. Had one hit from 3 at-bats. What more can you ask for a rookie, young guy coming into the big leagues and having his first game starting off with a decent average? And then his next game was the April 15th game against the Mariners as well. So we had him in third base. This time he went 4 for 1. He drove in 2 RBIs. His batting average dropped to 286, but again, still a decent performance. He had a home run in this game. So his first home run in the big leagues came in the 5th inning off of Josh Smith with 1 on and nobody out. So he basically knocked off a home run in his second game in the majors, driving in 2 runs. So, I mean, it's still early. Still his second game, but when you promote a guy who, overall doesn't look flashy, but he continues to perform well, it feels good. So we're excited and excited for him, and can't wait to see what else he has in store and how he continues to perform. The other guy, Matt Chapman, again, Matt Chapman is not going to be in AAA for long, but when somebody's in a rut, you have to make some changes. You got to shake him up a little bit. That's what we're doing by sending him down to AAA. And in his first couple games in AAA, he's already started to improve. So his first game, he went 3 for 3, had 2 home runs and 3 RBIs in that game. So excellent. And then in his second game, after being sent down, he went 4 for 2 with 1 double and scored 1 RBI. So, and had a stolen base. Sorry, that's a strikeout. My bad. But it's basically almost like an awakening call for Matt Chapman. He's performing a little bit better, even though it's AAA, but he's maybe starting to find his swing, and wouldn't be surprised if very soon we call him up. So as a result of that, this is how our lineup looks like at the moment. We have Dustin Fowler in that leadoff spot. We probably might have to make some adjustments to the lineup before we play our next game. Matt Joyce is still our DH. We've got him in that number 2 spot. Bruce Maxwell is in that third hole, the number 3 position. Just because he's got the power and he's playing really well so far into the season. Chris Davis, the cleanup hitter. Matt Olson in the 5th spot. He's getting on base a little bit better than he was early in the season. Not making contact the way we expect him, but he still has power that we want him. I like having back-to-back powerful guys who can hit home runs one after the other, and lining up Chris Davis and Matt Olson one after the other, I think is a good strategy for our team. Marcus Semien, he's starting to play okay if you look at his last couple of games, but he was struggling a lot since the start of the season. Steven Piscotty, who's also been playing well so far within the last few games, is in that number 7 spot. So might be making a switch with Piscotty because he's definitely within the last 3 games. If you saw the recap that we did for week 3 here, when we showed you the game performances, Steven Piscotty kept popping up in our stat sheet as somebody who's starting to play and perform really well. Jet Lowry also kind of starting to find his bat lately. So, and then Sheldon News, we put him in third base, and he's actually in the lineup. So that's a great achievement for a young guy that we just called up from AAA. So that's basically that. We did not have any injuries recorded in week 3. at least none for our 40-man roster. So there's no changes there. That's in a nutshell week 3, and we'll show you guys how the next week, what kind of games we have coming up for next week. So week number 4, which starts tomorrow, we start a 3-game series against the Chicago White Sox, and then we finish off the week with a 3-game series against the Boston Red Sox. So exciting to see the team play out other teams in the league. The Boston Red Sox series will be interesting because that's a pretty good team. It will be interesting to see how the team performs. So we definitely hope to have a video of one of our games during week 4, and we hope you guys will stick around and watch the team play out a game and see how we perform for the rest of the week. That's all we have for this video. Thanks a lot, guys, for tuning in. Thanks for watching, and we hope to see you on our next video.